Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Team Grothendieck weekly status meeting. Today is Tuesday, August the 15th. The beta test has been ongoing for 1 week. We got it out last week, and there haven't been too many, I guess, bugs reported. The first thing that people noticed was the verbosity of the logs. So that's kind of fixable or controllable using the logback.xml. So you can configure the amount of the noise basically that comes out of the logs. Apart from that, we have been working on the issues that we had found ourselves really during the beta test. So we looked at some performance issues in terms of going slower than we'd expected. We looked at regression, going back over both Morden and the classic chains and trying to put together a proper regression test, which is different from the EVM test suite, which is also pretty useful. But just a couple of words, I guess, to describe the test suite that we're doing, which is basically taking the database with all the blocks and all the transactions and just walking through them and executing them all and checking the state against the state that's produced against the state that is basically accepted as the blockchain state. So that regression test is ongoing, and we've found some interesting things that we have to go back over and sort out. So that's been a lot of the work. One of the other, so that's two things. One is the regression test for the EVM. The second is performance, which I think I'll ask Alan to just tell us how it's going in a minute. And then the other was with regard to fast sync. Adam was working on basically a way to speed up fast sync, to try and figure out why it was just that little bit noisy in terms of losing its connections and maybe blacklisting a couple of connections that maybe it shouldn't have. So just sort of studying that in detail. And what he's come up with is some throttling that seems to help a lot on EC2. So that's gone through as well. That's in the current code base. And then the thing that we haven't tackled is the LevelDB Java error, which we see occasionally. So that's still outstanding. And then beyond that, what we're looking to also do is plan for the next release. So the next release will be integrating with the dataless wallet in some form. So that's the planning for that has begun, and we'll be keeping you updated on I guess what timeline we come up with. It depends on a few things. It depends on how much of a chunk we decide to bite off, and what else we decide to put in. So that is, I guess, basically an update. The other housekeeping issues that I would mention is that the next broadcast for this meeting will probably be the 5th of September, because most people are on holidays, including myself. So I've scheduled the next broadcast for the 5th of September, and then we should know a lot more about our that week. We should know a lot more about our timelines and our expected next release. So Alan, you were looking at measuring some of the performance of our basically the main cycle, which is reinflating the blocks, deserializing them from the database, and executing them against the current state, and coming up with a new state and rewriting, I guess, whatever needs to be written, the receipts and so on, to the DB. How's that been going?
Yes, actually, there are the task was based on an issue that you had reported related to syncing was slowing down around block 50,000, which is where transactions start to appear on the mainnet. So based on that, we started grabbing some benchmarks and information data from running the node with a lot of debug and delta capture code just to get information and figure out what was going on. You were right. It was slowing down around that block. And then we started from a different angle, and we discarded all the network and all the noise that might be appear from there. And we started benchmarking, just processing blocks from one database and trying to insert them in another database, which is basically like reprocessing the whole blockchain without the network stuff. And we have found potentially the issue. We are still doing the final test with our fix. Basically, we found that we had some places where we were recovering public address from a transaction that wasn't necessary, and that was not helping the performance of the client. So that was a lot of time being spent doing some crypto math that is too expensive. And we will provide on a pull request hopefully today, and there you will see the analysis in terms of the data and the benchmarks that we ran and all the information regarding to that, the different approaches we have to fix the issue and why we picked one, just to make it clear where was the performance issue and how we decided to fix it in order to not to introduce a lot of bugs in other places of the code, but also keep it clean for developers that might be looking at the source code and for ourselves too. So that's it.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, as you said, there was an expensive operation being called unnecessarily, really. So that's probably the first of the low-hanging fruit that we were hoping to pick, I guess. That's what you do with low-hanging fruit. When we went back and started to look at some of the performance, so that's good, because there was a fairly, I mean, assuming it all works out, and we're not 100% sure, but assuming that works out, we're kind of expecting a significant increase in the speed of processing blocks, right?
Yes, I don't want to say any number, even if I have one, just to not to create high expectations. But it seems that yes, we will have a really performance boost related to this issue, and as the fix is going to be like a surgery fix, it will have a low impact on the quality and the security of the other code base, so of the other classes and stuff. So I think it's a really, really nice trade-off.
Cool. Okay, so we're kind of open. I mean, there are probably a few other things that we found during our own beta testing that still need to be sorted. I know we have to generate more databases. We found a problem with one of the receipts, and that's resulted in a PR that's going to basically do a more rigorous check for that. And beyond that, as I said, I think the only other thing we have that's sort of outstanding functionally is the level DB error, right? That I can think of. I think that's pretty much it. But having said that, it would be nice to, I mean, we'll still, this is the first of the hopefully low-hanging fruit that are out there in our code base that we found. So I'm kind of hopeful that with more, as we keep looking at it over the next, I guess, week or so before we get to implementing the nitty-gritty of the next deadline, that we might find one or two more low-hanging fruit that we can pick to basically improve the performance of it. But that all remains to be seen. Nico, you were looking at some of the other things that we found during the beta testing. Can you give us a quick update?
Yes, sure. Well, I've been looking at several minor issues that we have found. For example, that while using more than and asking for the network version with a JSON RPC method, we were reporting a wrong number. The major issue that they've been working in is that, as you very well said, that when we were doing the regression test on our Bootstrap database, the idea was comparing the stored receipt with the receipt obtained during the execution of the blocks. We found that there was a difference, and this was due to a problem that we were not that was not done on the receipts obtained during fast sync. So that's already been fixed. As you said, there's a pull request open for that. And well, apart from that, I've been working on several other minor issues that, for example, reporting properly errors found on the Bootstrap nodes that were provided to our client, or also when changing, for example, from fast sync to regular sync, that's not something that you are able to do. We were previously just stopped working, but now we are properly logging that this has happened. And that's mostly it, doing some refactoring and working on these minor issues that we have found.
Okay, did we change that such that I thought we just changed it such the error reporting was better when you did that illegal switch from the middle of fast sync to regular sync, or did we actually change it so that it works properly?
No, well, this change is in a pull request that's currently open, so it's not currently changed. But what was changed that yes, we could. I think, as you said, we are logging that this change is you're not able to do so as is done in other clients.
Okay.
And we just log it and we continue with fast sync, although the client was configured to do regular sync.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So that's fine. I just thought we might have been doing something overly complex there to try and recover from that situation. But no, that's tip top. Thanks, Nico. Okay, so does anyone else have anything that they want to bring up? No, probably not. Okay, so for anybody who's wondering where everybody else is, today is a bank holiday in Poland. So all of our Polish contingent are off enjoying themselves, I hope. And just to recap then, the last week we've spent doing really two things. One, sorting out the gold information, the golden information that we found out from our testing last week in terms of observing performance and observing issues by just running it over and over again in different scenarios. So we've been working through the list of stuff that we found from that. The second thing, I suppose, is keeping an ear out for any issues that people have found. And as I said, it's been pretty quiet. The only issue that I saw was related to verbose logging, and that's controllable through logback. And then the third thing is trying to come up with a schedule and a roadmap for the next release, and even releases beyond that. So that's ongoing at the moment, and we'll know more about that after the break. So yes, the final point, I guess, is that the next meeting, the next one of these, will be in 2 weeks, because I'll be out for 2 weeks, and I think we'll be quite light. So quite a few people are on holidays in different areas. Okay, gents, I think that's our status update for today. Thank you very much, everybody, and talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.